Of all the things that law schools do, one of the stranger ones and one of the least defensible is the classic end of the semester examination. It is so antithetical to what everyone understands about how assessments can be used as part of the learning process. Students get zero feedback typically for 3 or 4 months. At the end of that period, they will take an exam at which their only feedback typically will be a single letter or a single number. Some of them may reach out to the professor and come in for comments where they'll typically get 5 or 10 minutes of perfunctory comments. But why wouldn't we want to use assessments as a way of actually supporting learning? Why wouldn't we want to know a quarter of the way into the semester how a student is comprehending so we could begin to do the kind of work necessary to bring that student up versus saying, oh, good, this student didn't understand, that makes it easier for me to grade. And that's, of course, an exaggeration. The reason we don't do it, and it's understandable, is because it's very, very time-consuming. And interestingly, compared to other disciplines and, for example, undergraduate education, we don't use teaching assistants to do grading. So the idea of doing periodical exercises and grades really does begin to have a real bite into the production of scholarship, which is another very important imperative of the legal academy. Personally, I think the value of not using teaching assistants, we think, well, it's really important the professor do it. Well, I think we're exaggerating that. I'd much rather have a talented teaching assistant do this 3 or 4 times a semester than cherish this idea that only the professor can be the one to grade when grading ultimately becomes just a sorting device used for employers, not part of the teaching. So one of the evolutions that I hope will happen will be the hiring of a cadre, perhaps of law school graduates, the way we do often for legal writing programs and other fellowships, who will be responsible for being teaching assistants. I don't want necessarily second-year students grading first-year students, but we could have fellows who are also engaged in some scholarship, but serve as TAs, and who do the grading the way that happens throughout much of education. I think there'll be a huge improvement.